Well, hi there, folks. Chuck Holton here. I am live from just outside of Athens, Greece, kind of near the airport. You may hear planes going over here in a little bit. I'm overlooking the ocean from this Airbnb that we rented. We're just here on a long layover, really. It's actually about 2 days. Let's see if you can see the ocean over there, out that way. Beautiful little seaside community. We went down there yesterday and went swimming in the ocean. Hang on a second. I think I have a dirty lens. I should have checked that before I started. I was traveling on Friday, so I wasn't able to update you on Friday, but we flew Friday from Washington, D.C. to Athens directly. It's about a 10-hour flight. Flight's not too bad, although if you'll allow me to rant for a minute, it seems, do you ever get the feeling that in a particular company, in this case the airline, just like puts together a committee of people whose job it is to just make dealing with them that much more excruciating every time you fly. I swear United has a committee like that. They just, flying is hard enough. Traveling is difficult, increasingly difficult as the COVID goes on, and man, it just seems like it gets harder and harder. Every country you go to, if you haven't traveled internationally since COVID hit, it's certainly possible. I mean, you've watched me travel all over the globe over the last several months, but every country that you go to has different requirements for how to get in. Some of them you have to fill out an affidavit. Many of them you do, but some countries require the affidavit to be filled out in advance, like no less than 24 hours before you get to their country. In some countries like Greece, it has to be filled out no more than 24 hours before you get in the country. And then some countries require you to test. Increasingly, many countries are requiring you to be vaccinated. It just is this ever-spreading web of requirements. There's no standardization, and it's just really a pain. It's just, man, it gets harder and harder. There's so many little details that you have to make sure you get right, or you're going to get to the airport and they're not going to let you on the airplane. Today, we were walking around Athens and we decided to go to a museum. There are not many people wearing masks or anything outside in Athens, in Greece. You do have to wear them in the airport, but you have to wear them in the airport everywhere, so that's not any different. But we went to a museum, and lo and behold, not only do you have to wear masks, but you have to prove that you're vaccinated or show a test that's less than 48 hours old. Well, fortunately, some of us had tested inside enough window. We were close enough to having just gotten here that we didn't have to. We did get excluded from the group, but one of our group had tested just barely more than 48 hours ago, so she wasn't able to go in. Just different requirements everywhere you go. It's just a pain. It's just a pain. And a lot of people have asked me about this whole process with the vaccines and the Delta variant. I'll just say this. This is a very highly politicized environment everywhere you go across the globe. And it's, I guess, I wouldn't call it amusing, but it's it's remarkable that depending on which side of the political aisle you're on, that tends to affect how you feel about COVID, about the vaccine, about masking, about all that stuff. All those things tend to become virtue signaling in one direction or the other. And I really wish it wasn't that way. I wish that we could just get rid of the politics, just do what's best, what you feel is best for you. Don't try to deny other people the choice to do what they feel is best for them. And by all means, give people the freedom to, make those choices themselves. I hear people who are like, well, if you're not vaccinated, then you're a threat to the society. Actually, that's just backwards. That's absolutely backwards. If the vaccine is at all, if it works, if it's effective, and everybody says it is, then what would it matter if all of your neighbors are not vaccinated? It wouldn't matter. But what I was told by a doctor friend of mine is that in actuality, since vaccinated people can still carry the virus, it's really the vaccinated people who are a threat to the unvaccinated people. It's the vaccinated people who can spread this thing to people who may not be protected from it by the vaccines. Now, if unvaccinated people are a threat to the vaccinated people, that means the vaccines are not effective, and so why would you get one? Now, it seems that the vast majority of the people who are being affected by this in the hospital right now are unvaccinated, according to all reports. But who can trust the reports? I mean, the media has become so politically aligned one direction or the other that you can't trust anything you hear. It's really frustrating. And I guess I'm frustrated because I have quite a few friends who are and family members who are in the hospital, sick with COVID or dying of COVID right now, and it's really weighing on my heart. I have a friend whose father just died of COVID, and he was double vaxxed, but he got it and died from it. I have another friend who's in a medically induced coma in Mexico, who with COVID, who is not vaccinated. I have an aunt and an uncle who got COVID, and they're telling me my aunt may not survive the day today. And they're in Mexico. I have another good friend who contacted me this morning and said that he now has COVID and is looking for, he wants to try Ivermectin, and a lot of people say, oh, it's not effective, that there's no proof that Ivermectin is effective. I've actually seen studies that show that it increases the likelihood of survival with COVID by 87%. And this is, I ran that study by an epidemiologist friend who's one of the leading epidemiologists on the planet. She worked on the Ebola vaccine, and she said it's a reputable study. Now, whether of course, people going to Tractor Supply and buying horse ivermectin and taking that, it probably is not such a good idea, but they wouldn't have to do that if they could just go get people ivermectin, which is available, but pharmacies won't give it out. And you can get it over the counter in Panama, and so people in Panama go, and if they get COVID, they go get ivermectin and they take it. And I know dozens of people who have taken it safely and who have recovered very quickly from COVID. And I even have one particular case where a mission group that I know, almost everybody in the group got COVID, and everybody but one person took ivermectin. They all recovered very quickly without major complications, and that one person who didn't take ivermectin nearly died. So anecdotally, it seems like it would at least be, I mean, ivermectin is it's a people medicine that's been given to people for a long time to, help deworm people, anti-parasitic. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing it's good for. And it certainly, in many cases, couldn't hurt somebody who's likely to get really sick and die. Same thing with these antibodies, as monoclonal, however you pronounce that, antibodies. Why are people trying to withhold that? Again, there's so many politics surrounding this thing. And do we really want to live in a country or a world where politics dictates everything that's done? It just makes me so sick, so sick. Can we not just do our best to help each other and forget about the politics? I'm just disgusted, just very disappointed by how heavily everything in our society, even life and death of our neighbors, has to be politicized. So I'm in Greece now just for another, 5 or 6 hours. We're going to leave tonight and go on to Armenia. We've got a small group of people that came along, and we're having a great time. We got to go to see the Acropolis today and the Areopolis, where Paul went and spoke to the Athenians and told them, I see you've got a God for just about everything here. And even I saw a shrine to the unknown God. Well, let me make that unknown God known to you. He's the God of heaven and earth, and he's the God above every other God. And he actually converted many Athenians to Christ, and even some very important Athenians. And Greece today is a Christian nation because of it. So, that it's pretty cool to walk and to see the places where biblical history actually played out. We're enjoying that here in Greece, and we're going to go do that some more in the shadow of Mount Ararat over the next week or so. So stay tuned. It is coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the war in the Nagorno-Karabakh, which started this whole thing, kicked this whole thing off for me, as I came over to report on the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict a year ago. It was a horrific, just a short but horrific battle that resulted in a tremendous loss of life on the Armenian side. And every loss of life is, on both sides, is tragic because, like I say, so much of this is politically motivated. And in this case, countries like Turkey playing power politics, throwing their weight behind Azerbaijan, and allowing Azerbaijan to murder about 5,000 Armenians in the course of a couple of months is something that we need to keep talking about. And so I'm going to keep talking about it. We're going to go stand with the Armenians in Yerevan on the anniversary of the conflict. And we've taken a couple of our viewers along, people who've been following the podcast for a long time. And so we're going to do this again next spring, probably. If you're interested, put it in the comments here. Tell me you're interested in going, and we'll work it out so that you can come along on one of these trips. It's worth it. Let me tell you, it's really amazing to go see Armenia. Armenia is just an incredible, incredible country. Incredible people, incredible history, incredible food, and you're going to want to check it out if you can. So that's my podcast for today. I hope you have a great week. Stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of great stuff coming up from Armenia over the next week. So this podcast is about following me around the world on my travels and, seeing the behind the scenes look at where I am. So this is it for today. And I appreciate all of you who watch and who comment and who share the podcast with your friends. You can go to patreon.com/hotzone to subscribe and support the podcast. You can also go to locals.com/Chuck Holton and subscribe that way. I prefer that way because then you're not supporting Black Lives Matter and all that garbage. But any way you do it, please share and like the podcast. Let me know you're around, and we'll keep it going. Take care. I'm Chuck Holton. Have a good week. We'll see you.